We're going live. Let's go. Hello, everybody. We're here. I'm here with Gick. Hi, Gick.
Hello. That was this mixture of English and German. It was something in between hello and hello.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I'm going to send out a tweet right now so that people know that we're live now. Okay, so I'm going to say we're live. Okay, so I don't know. There's always like an awkward start because we have to like wait a few minutes for people to join the live stream, etc. I never really know what to do in the beginning. It's always awkward.
Do you think we could get a dedicated guest just for the small talk?
I mean, that would probably be ideal, just to fill in the first few minutes.
I know someone, Sedushka. I think he was on the stream before. He's a great singer. We could get him to have us to sing as an intro song.
Put the map link in the description. Okay, I'll do that. Put the map link in the description. That's I'll put it next to mmmbop. All right, so now there's a map link in the description. Yeah. So this soldier here has been attacked by a cassette, which has become a reasonably common occurrence in Ukraine. For better or worse, cassettes are a very dangerous weapon. This particular guy is being attacked by Hansen, obviously, which is one of the more dangerous cassettes that you could be attacked by. So that's the thumbnail today. Yeah. Anyways, so the past few days have been relatively low on news, and I think the main reason why is the weather. I think the weather is the issue. The weather is terrible. It's been raining so hard, and it's been raining. Unfortunately, it has not been raining cats and dogs because there's a giant mouse problem. I'm actually looking for my mouse video right now. I want to. Oh, that wasn't meant to happen, but here we go. Let's see if I can find the mouse video. I don't think I'm gonna. I think I deleted it. I think I deleted the mouse video. But anyways, there's been a mouse infestation. We've talked about it a bunch of times. There's so many mice. They're eating everything. They're doing what mice do. They congregate in warm, dry places, which is where the humans like to be during a rainstorm, and they eat everything, including shoes, including your food and clothing and bedding, and they do mouse things, So, yeah. So there's been terrible weather. There's been mice. There have been rats the size of dogs. Did you see that rat photo? Anyway, there's a rat photo.
The one with the AK next to it?
Yeah, the rat was like as big as an AK. That's a big rat. Big rat. Anyways, so I guess we could move on.
Could you share your screen on Discord?
You wanted to share the stream with you. That makes sense.
Yeah, otherwise I'm going to be responding 1 minute late.
Constantine's here. Hi, Constantine.
Hello, friends.
We haven't been blessed with your presence in a while. How have you been?
I've been all right. I just didn't have time to come. I did not have time to be present online too much. Things have been picked up a bit right now. It's easier for me, so I decided to join. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming. Do you have any things you'd like to talk about? Like any, I don't want to say news, just like things you'd like to talk about. You just finished your fundraiser.
Yeah, today we finished the fundraiser. It was 1 day fundraiser. We managed to fundraise $10,000. It's gonna go for the protection of the of Ukrainian artillery, self-propelled artillery, and the crews of this artillery. I think it's especially important considering the fact that of aid to Ukraine appear to be, not certain in near future. So saving our equipment and people appears to be a very important task for me and for us at this moment. So I certainly hope that it's going to help. We fundraise for 3 protection screens for the crab SPGs. They're going to protect against FPV drones and Lancet loitering munitions. Of course, if we have not tested them in actual combat, because we don't want to blow up an SPG accidentally. But but we hope it's gonna work. And commanders are happy. They tried to do something like this themselves, but their thing fell apart in pieces. So they were really happy to see that our construction is working. And yes, so thank you so much.
You've been working on that for a long time, right? So like,
yeah,
at least you've been talking about it.
Yeah, it's a long-going project because it's not something that you buy off the shelf. It's like a custom-made cages. They're pretty large. They're require a lot of metal, a lot of fitting. So like even if when you make all your blueprints, you weld it together, you construct it, you bring it, and oh, this does not fit. This does not fit. So we got to redo something and adjust the blueprints. And we made 2 protection cages already. And we have the blueprints finalized now for the next ones. I hope it's going to be easier. We hope that we're going to produce at least one per 10 days, because it's a lot of tedious work. Like, it's a large thing that you cannot produce in big quantities. And when you cannot produce something and when it's not needed in big quantities, it's hard to automate the process. Like, we're not going to buy, we're not going to produce too much tools for it, because we only need, like, Ukraine has only, for example, I don't know, 70 or 50 crabs in total. And so, yeah, I hope that makes sense too. Yeah.
How hard is it to make? Like, could you like send it off to like random people to make it, or does it take like a specialist skills?
Yeah, it's just a welder. Well, it's not that hard. It's just welding. We've built the blueprints. I can show you. I can share a video if you want. I can send it. How we assembled the first things. Let me share it with you. If you can stream it. It has no howitzers on it. It has just, a garage where it's being assembled. Give me just a couple of minutes.
Okay.
A couple of seconds. Even I'm already on it. Where do you want me to send it to?
Either Discord or Telegram. Those would be the best.
Okay. Okay, I'm sending to the Telegram.
Okay. I'll just patiently wait. Okay.
Yeah, you should have it.
I see it.
Yeah, so it's not that, it's just a lot of labor to construct it. Nothing high tech. But the key things here is that it has to fit. It's not, and it's really hard to make adjustment in the field when you install it. So, and we tried to. We may try to outsource it, but to take some to find a shop that can do it for us, because we don't have that in our facility. We don't have that many people. But the issue here is that it's gonna ramp up the price. I mean, my guys are working basically. I just give them $200 for the job, and it's like 2 people, 3 people working week, working for a week to construct it. So as you can imagine, it's not something. It's really cheap. It's just to cover basics, basic for them, like food and water. And if you try to outsource it to some other shop, they do want to get paid properly. Not everyone wants to work for free.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. So that's why first we made the blueprints. I can show you. I can share it a bit with you, if you can share it. It's my mom actually that was making those blueprints. I don't know if you can share this picture to show this is she made it all herself. It's not complete blueprint, of course. There are more of it, but we can use this to give it to other shops so they can manufacture it, and also we're gonna give these to the military itself, so they because they can find others to do it, or they can do it themselves, because military has some manpower. They have welders, and with proper blueprints they can and materials, because we need to give them materials as well. And yeah, they can do it.
Yeah. I mean, there aren't that many vehicles. It's just like a few dozen. It should be completely doable.
Yeah, and we're doing the main thing is the metal. It costs like each piece costs around $3,000 to build, out of which we spend some time on things like gasoline, like welding materials, some tools. Like I said, $200 for the guys doing it. So in the end, then it ends up to around 200 $2,500 for the metal itself. And it's not that it's too much, but still someone has to get that money, and that's what we're gonna try to do.
So, Gek, I saw you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that the blueprint is only for the crab right now.
Sorry?
That blueprint only exists for the crab so far.
Yeah, this is for the crab. But if someone comes in and says we need something similar, we can do that. It's just going to be another process. But of course, the blueprint is for the crab. That's because we were working with a 2026 mostly.
Okay.
Interesting. Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about from your? It's been a long time. It's been like a really long time.
There are a lot of things that I want to talk about. Like one of the most interesting, like things that bother me that don't let me go to sleep is the future of the aid to Ukraine. It's something that really bothers me. I don't know how much you discussed this, and I don't know how much your streams have drifted away from right now, and how much it's relevant to the topics discussed here. But this is something that bothers me a lot, and something that I would like hear other opinions on it, because it's like Ukrainian future basically hangs in a balance at the moment with the foreign aid, because Ukraine could do a lot by itself, but when your ports are blocked, you cannot really make your economy work properly. And when you cannot make your economy work properly, you depend on the foreign aid in a lot of things. And that's why it bothers me a lot that not many understand this. Not many think that Ukraine just begs around for the money, but in reality it's our existence depends on it. and it's not that big. We ask for aid not because we're incapable of doing anything ourselves. It's because our ports are blocked. Our economy is not really functional at this given moment without foreign support, and there is not much any nation could be able to do if their ports would be if the ports of the nation would be blocked. So just wanted to
Yeah.
iterate this once again.
I'll talk about that in a second. I just want to circle back to what we were just talking about because I have a question in the comment. Constantine, he just did a fundraiser for these protection kits for the crab, and it completed like I don't know an hour or two ago. So it's fully
It's
funded.
still running.
Oh, it's still running.
It's just fully funded already. So whatever you donate will go
Okay.
to the next set.
Okay, then if it's still going, then I'll put the link in the description.
Yeah, it has. Let me tell you, it has 9 hours left.
All right, because someone was asking if they could donate, so I'll
It would be really helpful. I would really appreciate it. We will use all the funds for, maybe gets a bit more, maybe pay $250 instead of 200 for those incredible workers that do the work, because those guys need your support as well. It just survival. Or if we reach a bit more, like if we get closer to the goal of $10,000, the money will go towards the next batch of the cages, because like I said, each one costs around $3,000 to manufacture end to end, and we want to equip like at least 40 crabs, so around 40, like there is not big number, and if it's successful, we can continue and scale it. So the money will be well used. You can I post reports about it. I post pictures, updates, so you can be sure that it will go to the right place. Thank you.
Yeah, I just put the link to the tweet and to the PayPal in the description.
Thank you, Andrew.
So I am an optimist in terms of the funding for Ukraine, and it's not really so much about Ukraine. It's not really optimism either. It just in terms of Ukraine, it comes out as optimism. It's more just I feel
Pragmatism.
I feel that the United States will never pass an opportunity for a good war. We will, if there's a war going on, we're going to be part of it. At least if the war impacts the United States somehow, like there are wars that we kind of don't care about, like Sudan, for example. Like the United States just doesn't care. Like for better or worse, we just don't care. So, but Ukraine does impact the United States enough for us to care, and I don't really think anything is going to get in the way of us, supporting a war. It's like wars are very profitable, and the people who make money off of the war are very powerful lobbyists, and I don't think there's any way they're going to let the government slip away from that profit. And for better or worse, I think it, there's a war in Ukraine, and I think the guys in those companies, they just see dollar signs, and they want those dollars, and they're going to do everything they can to get those dollars, and I don't really see that changing.
I don't completely agree with it. While you have your opinion, but the issue here for me that I see it, why I would agree with you, like for example 8 years ago, but what has changed is the populism that's been promoted everywhere right now. The world is somewhat, and the United States as well, is not immune to it. It's spinning into the spiral of populism where where people are just saying things that others want to hear and playing on their emotions a lot without any control. And what it leads to is that those who were in power before and had mass influence, they start losing it. And this is what I've seen, and I'm afraid can happen with one of the parties in the United States, where you would have people like lobbying. If lobbyism was in control of a lot of United States politics, right now they found different ways to fund their the party and the individual politicians using the social networks. And we've seen it, for example, in the House recently, when the guy was just soliciting donations for blocking basically and taking off one of the Republican speakers from his position. And it just became much easier to reach for those donations from the people right now, which makes populism a bit more independent from the companies, like populism, another venue to fund your political endeavors and ignore others. So I'm really concerned that this maybe may influence the help the military that's going to Ukraine. Because like 8 years ago, when this was not the case, I could imagine that companies in the military-industrial complex in the United States would just, when the voting, when someone would try to withhold the aid to Ukraine, would just call that senator or representative and say, like, you just you're not getting any funds anymore, or alternatively, like, we need this bill, and you're coming to one of the special fund, and you have special fundraisers soon, so we can help you, and things will be flipped really fast. But right now they're like, some representatives are saying like, oh, I don't need this. I can just say some populist things, get them promoted by people like Elon Musk and others, and other crazies. Go spin it up on the media and get the funds from just being from using populists without any substantial reasoning behind it, because they use their main ideas is like war is bad, so it's pure populism. War is bad, but was fighting in Second World War against Nazi Germany bad? No, it wasn't. Was it bad funding military production during the Second World War? No, it wasn't. Was it, but they're using it against any common sense, and saying that billions of dollars, they frighten people. Oh, it's billions going to Ukraine right now, and they're like, not they're just living their lives there. It's once again populism. They say billions to scare off people. It's a catchy word. It feels like it's a lot of money, but in fact it's like, it's the money is spent on the international support of the nation that is struggling for its life and its international security, that has never been cheap, but it's simply expensive. There is no way around it. That's why our world was somewhat at peace compared to World War II times and World War One times, and even what was before that. But security was never cheap, and people seem to forget about it and playing on the populism. So that's my opinion why I'm concerned that things may not work exactly like you're saying.
I don't really want to get into the actual politics of things, but I see things changing. I see the people in government changing, um, and I see polling changing, and I think things are just changing. I think we hit a peak of what you're talking about, that peak, and I think we're past the peak now, and we're going back down. And I think a lot of these, not just politicians, but I think a lot of the companies and whatnot don't want to end up on the wrong side of that peak. They don't want to be the ones that keep going in one direction when everybody else is going in the other direction, because then they end up looking really bad, in a year or two. So
Yeah, I agree. I see this as well. Like, but nothing is certain at this point, and it's a worrying subject. It's not, you know, sometimes it goes up and down, the danger with it's, but um, I do hope, I do share your concern, like optimism that everything is going to be, eventually be all right, and people will want to end up on the right side of the of things. But
I honestly think people are just tired. Yeah, I think people are just burnt out
emotionally,
of being mad. I think people are just tired of being mad. And
yeah,
they just want to be normal again.
yeah, that's the thing that that I hope for as well. I just discussed this with one of my friends as well. We had, like, you cannot, even with the war in Ukraine, against Ukraine, when it started, there was one, even me, for example, who is Ukrainian, who is very much related to everything what's going on. Like, after a year, I managed to, I looked at back, and like, I'm more emotionally stable right now. I'm tired of being mad, and people are like, okay, let's cool off, and let's try to, instead of running around screaming, let's look for the solutions. Let's look for something that is working, instead of just being mad about things. So I do hope, and when this moment comes, you start acting differently, and those politicians, and those who yell the most, they lose their influence, and those who are, who provide cold logic and next steps what to do, are usually gaining the influence. So and that's where the populism will fade away, hope. And I do hope that's going to happen in here as well.
I I have a really good segue from what you just said, but I can't find the Telegram post, and it's frustrating me. But basically, I can't remember word for word, unfortunately, and I can't find the Telegram post. But basically, there was a post recently. I think it was from the 59th Brigade. I think one of the guys in the 59th. I don't know if it was one of the bigger guys, anyway, in the brigade. He basically posted that he's tired of the civilian military experts in the West commenting on Ukraine when they don't know what they're talking about, and he that Ukraine has prepared the defense of Avdiivka using the resources they have available to them. That they are making heavy use of things like snipers and the various tools that they have, that they don't have to rely on the West to help support, that Ukraine can do themselves, and that their defense is based around those assets and not based around things that they require from the West. And that he was sick of people acting as if everything hinges on Western support. And unfortunately, I can't find the Telegram post. But did you read that?
No, I did not read it, but you know, while it's true, like it's partially true, but in terms of artillery, we still rely on artillery. We you know, and it's supplied. The ammo is supplied by the West. I know there is going to be a great piece soon about it. Piece. No, I don't know how to say it right. I don't want to be Zelensky style to say "come" in the name of peace. But anyway, like the FPVs, they help a lot, especially against the you know, to uh, repellent attacks, especially mitigate the artillery shortage. When you have enemy armor incoming, the FPVs have proven to be very successful. So in this term, I would say that it's true that Ukraine managed to reduce its reliance on the West, and it does help. But still, like, you know, first of all, the brigade commander has his own thoughts, and they can be wrong, they can be right, and they have their own view on things that are going on. But if you look at the bigger picture, you know, there was some analysis, I think, by one of the in Twitter by one of the OSUNT observers that has stated, I think, that around 50% losses of the equipment in Avdiivka, or 40% still comes from the artillery, I think. And it's, and you know, deep strikes as well. Not necessarily the mechanized brigade officer, even higher ranking one, can see that, or you know, he may, you know, exaggerate one things, diminish others. But it's, and you don't know, you know, he may, you know, try to decrease the level of panic when it comes to international aid. But yeah, Ukraine is definitely, like on the other side, he's totally right that Ukraine is doing the work right now to minimize dependence on the foreign aid that comes, because obviously it's not stable. We had also, remember, I think Slovakia Prime Minister, you know, attacking Ukraine was his words, and withdrawing his support for us. You know, we never know when other populists will come and say stuff like that while sitting in the luxury of the security provided by the United States of America and as a part of the NATO bloc. So you know, that's why it's important, and I think Ukraine is moving in the right direction here. But what I don't think is that we will be able to completely, you know, or like minimize it dependency enough. We will still, like, we will still need artillery. We will still need things like HIMARS. Don't forget that the HIMARS is what you know, allows us to do, for example, counter battery. It's one of the most effective weapons, and it provides deep strikes. And there is an open question to the air defense systems. There is a project that Ukraine is working on to protect its skies, but it's not anywhere close. So we do depend on this, and there is no way at this moment, and moment close to you know, for us to be completely independent.
Found that 59th Brigade Telegram post. I'm going to put it in the description of the video so people can read it if they want to. Yeah, that's the text. But yeah, I don't know. It just seems that the impression I get looking at this is that it's kind of like multi-part. It's like, first they want they want people to realize that they're actually like actively defending. I feel like That was like one. That was like the sense I got, that it was like everybody's like constantly complaining or looking to the next like aid package or whatever, and he's like, while you're all at home complaining and stuff, we're actually fighting a war out here. I think that's kind of the impression I got from him.
I mean, I have nothing against that. And his usual, I have not read it yet, but a lot of people are addressing not addressing foreign analysts when making such things, but more like internal inside Ukraine analysts. We have people who are saying their things in Ukraine as well. It's not only Twitter and international community that our military is addressing.
Yeah, this last part of the post here, where he says that it was a tough year of development and working on mistakes, and we'll destroy the enemy, we'll hold them back, and when he's exhausted, we'll move forward. That's kind of, I can't disagree with that. That's kind of the strategy, isn't it? Like I I was very against the offensive that Ukraine did this summer. I was pretty vocally against it starting from like January. I was like really against it, and I hope that there was something learned. Like I don't think an offensive is how Ukraine is going to win this war. I want to see the Russian military destroyed.
My personal opinion that the way to win this war is not, of course, like successful offensive is absolutely great and changes a lot. But what I think that one of the aspects that we also can do is just keep Russian losses high, and Russia will stop when they have reached the critical mass of killed people, and just make this intolerable for them being in this war. And I just I have my doubts that breakthroughs are something that's gonna happen. Huge breakthroughs is something that's gonna happen anytime soon. People always like to bring up Kharkiv and Kherson liberations, Kharkiv region, but the problem is that they happened, and Russia learned on their mistakes and made much more heavily fortified. They fortified their position much more. They did more mobilization. They changed the training programs of their units, and their large country, very large country, was 4 times population of the Ukraine, and I just don't see things like they did their homework basically to prevent this from happening in the future. Unfortunately, of course, nothing is certain in the war, and this may happen, but I do think that Ukraine should maintain its offensive capabilities, but at the same time, main goal should be to kill as much Russian. I don't know if I can say this on the stream, to target as much Russian troops as they can, so as we can, and focus on this more than we focus on liberating specific a piece of land.
Yeah. So getting to the point of attrition, there was a video came out today by Covert Cabal. Gick, I don't know if you watched this. I watched it. I watched it right before the stream started.
Yeah, I watched it, but I had to take a break in between to take the trash out. So yeah, if you don't sit down and watch it all together, then sometimes you miss out on information.
Yeah. Well, this video came out like 30 minutes before the stream started, and I watched it like 10 minutes before the stream started. So I didn't have that much time to digest it. There was a lot of stats and stuff involved, but basically what they did is him and the Twitter account HiMarsed, which I don't know if people know who that is, right? So, anyways, they went through the satellite imagery of all these bases in Russia, and they got their stats. The link to this video is in the description. So they got the stats for these how many tanks have been removed from storage. I'm not going to show their stats because that's rude. You can go watch their video to get them. But basically, what they're showing is that they've used like several hundred video of their tanks this year that they've removed from storage, and there have been a lot of tanks that were never touched before, that they haven't been touched in over a decade. Like they literally sat in one place for over 12 years. Those tanks are now starting to be pulled out, and those are T80Us, I think. So they're probably we might start seeing T80Us in combat soon. But anyways,
Yeah, Andrew, on the stats, I think one key message is that from April he mentioned, and that's actually the notes I took. From April, around 400 tanks basically have been reduced from storage net.
yeah,
There were some individual bases which had actually seen an increase, which he was not entirely sure how to explain. Some were or could be freshly produced. Some could be that they were simply rearranged or that they were taken out of garages. I think since the beginning of the war, or at least since last year, he counted around a decline of around 1,200 tanks. And I think what was interesting is that he compared the reduction in storage with Oryx loss rate in tanks. And I think he calculated that 75 tanks are lost per month on Oryx. And his reduction from storage is around 77, which is almost a perfect fit.
yeah. And of note, of those like 400 or whatever tanks since April, like 250 of them were T62s and T55s. So it was 50 T55s and about 200 T62s. So yeah, so and there were a bunch of well, not that many. There were like 30 T80s, and I think all of those were T80Us. So, anyways, it's just interesting. It made me go back to our stats that we have, which are incomplete, as you know, but we got to do our best. And what I in our stats we have since basically the beginning of June when we started more carefully labeling and tracking things. We have 204 destroyed tanks and 193 damaged and 46 abandoned, and and one sunk in a pond or a lake. So that's 205 confirmed destroyed, and plus 6 captured. So that's 211 over an 88-day span, I think. So so that is what 2.4 per day, which is like 72 per month. So our stats are like roughly in agreement with what they're talking about. So that was nice to see, and it was somewhat interesting. We don't know exactly what happens to all those damaged tanks. Most of those damaged tanks are probably not that damaged, but some of them might be destroyed. So we don't actually know.
Yeah, I think once it's abandoned, there's like a 50% chance that it's actually going to get hunted or hunt down by drones. I mean, we see it at least with Ukrainian equipment, which is abandoned. We've pretty much seen it around what was it called, Novomayorsk, I think, where a lot of people didn't want to count the tanks there, which were abandoned, but it was pretty evident that most of them will get destroyed.
Yeah,
which they were.
Yeah, although, well, it kind of shows, kind of the success that Ukraine was not really credited with in the attack on Rabatana, because all of those abandoned tanks, like most of them are recovered and repaired, whereas in like Staromayorsk, all the abandoned ones were destroyed. So it's kind of the difference between a successful and unsuccessful attack.
Because you're talking about T-72s and T-90s, they have, this feature where it prevents itself from being evacuated by self-destructing.
Yeah.
The turret flies into the space.
It sure does. Anyways, one thing that I didn't agree with in the Covert Cabal video, I think he underestimated how many tanks Russia is constructing. Or because he only referred to constructing. It was kind of weird because he does talk about refurbishment, like very, very openly talks about refurbishment, and like obviously he is considering the refurbishment, but then afterwards he only quoted the new construction number without quoting the refurbishment number. So that was one criticism I have for that video, was that it was like an oversight, maybe. I don't know, because I think Russia is building about what, well, they're producing about twice as many tanks as he gave in his numbers, and the reason why is because they build like 20 something per month and they refurbish like 20 more per month, so it's like altogether somewhere around 50 per month, or 60 maybe. It's like over 20 of each. Like the exact numbers I don't know, and I think they fluctuate. So, but it's like between 20 and 30 of each per month. Anyways, so that was all pretty interesting. So, but I guess we should get to the news, considering we do cover the news. Um, the news that I have in the north near Kupiansk is that today, Russia tried to attack across the train tracks near Limon Pershi, and they were repelled. So they basically tried to attack this way, towards the river, basically. So I don't know if they were, going this way or that way, or just, I don't know. But generally speaking, they're trying to move northwest from Limon Pershi. Or just west, and they were repelled. Other than that, there doesn't seem to be much going on up here, or at least over the past 2 days. There is, generally speaking, fighting going towards Ivanivka, but I don't know how strong that fighting is over the past 2 days. The weather has been really bad, and some of the Russian sources are claiming that they're still pushing there, but the Ukrainians are basically saying that they're not, as of the past 2 days, that everyone's just kind of sitting around getting rained on. That's pretty much what the Ukrainians are saying, and I don't really have information to say otherwise. So it's kind of either Russia is still attacking the way they were, or they're just all sitting in the rain right now. I'm not sure. But either way, there's no obvious signs of change that I've seen, or even really videos from up here. I don't know, Gick, did you see anything?
No, not really. That area. I mean, basically, all that I find from that area is a claimed destruction of a crab or some other SPG.
Oh yeah, yeah. They've destroyed at least several thousand crabs up there by now.
Yeah.
They destroy approximately 10 a day. It's crazy how many crabs they destroy. I didn't know Poland had so many. But the area near Makivka, again, the other day, it was 2 days ago or whatever, Russia was attacking down this tree line, which I used to have as Ukrainian controlled, but Russia is there now. So that's what this is. They were getting hit with cluster munitions and artillery, and they're trying to move down this tree line. But other than that, there's not too much news from there either, especially over the past 2 days, because that was like more than 2 days ago at this point. Now in near Kremena, there was this weird video from Russians shooting ATGMs at this like tree or whatever. It kind of looked like it may have been a vehicle, but I didn't see a vehicle in the video, but it kind of blew up as if it were a vehicle. But the weird thing is that this is a Russian controlled area, and I think the video's old, which is why I didn't change the area control. I just think it's an old video, maybe from like 2 or 3 weeks ago, because I think Russia only moved here a few days ago.
Yeah, it's interesting that you have that feeling, because when I watched it, I felt like, oh, I'm pretty sure that's old. I checked the date again, and well, it was uploaded today.
Yeah.
So I'm not entirely sure. Maybe actually, if you go back in the map, you will just find the same dot again. Because sometimes we forget the content.
Maybe that's possible. I really don't think so, because I've been paying attention to this area, and I feel I would have remembered, because I've been very uneasy about mapping this very specific area. So whenever I get information from there, it kind of sears into my memory. So I don't think we have that. But I do think the video's old, but I also don't think it's that old. It may have been from September. But anyways, that's kind of all we got from this northern area. This whole area around Siversk, I have nothing. But there was this yesterday. There was this change to the map that came from this Ukrainian shelling. Now this change is not a surprise to me, because I didn't think Ukraine actually was this far south. I just had no information to go on. So seeing Russia there was not a surprise, and I don't think it represents an advance. It just, I knew the map was wrong here. I just didn't know how to fix it, and this is just more information. I still think it's wrong. I just don't have the information to make it more accurate. So, I don't know exactly where the front line is here. It's just kind of like a random guess. But we do know that the Russians are right here, that they have a trench system that kind of goes perpendicular to those trees. Yeah, other than that, there's not. Yep.
One thing to add there, I think, is that actually there are quite a bunch of videos that the Russians typically release from the area allegedly attacking Bilohorivka and so on. But most of them are super hard to locate, because most of them are zoomed into trenches. So it's not that there is no fighting or that there is no content. It's just that it's really, really hard to understand where it is.
Yeah, there are so many videos from this area that are like impossible to find unless you know what you're looking for, because it's a trench next to a bush. You're like, oh great, it's a trench next to a bush. Even some of the videos where they like zoom out all the way and show you the whole like everything, I still can't find them, and it's so frustrating, because like I know it's there somewhere. Like I could see like every tree line for miles, the shape of everything, and they still can't find the stupid little place. But yeah, there are more videos that come out here that we just don't know what to do with, because we can't find it. And each of these videos, they're compilations of multiple shorter videos, and every time like there's at least one clip from every compilation from this kind of rail line here. So like each time like we get like one location on this rail line. Like this is a perfect example. Like this video I believe has like 5 clips in it, and the only one I could find was this one. Or I think yeah. So we always get like shelling on that on that rail line, but everywhere else we can never find it. Unless sometimes it's in this tree line right here. That's also another really popular place for them to shell. But those 2 places we got, but everywhere else, no idea. Anyways, north of Bakhmut, we don't really have too much information from all the way in the north. Oh, there is one piece that had me very worried. There was the news that Russia had entered Vasyukivka, and on the same day they released footage of them shelling part of the town. And I was nervous that they actually did enter Vasyukivka, but we've had absolutely no evidence since then, and it makes me think that they just made it up just for fun. But the people who said that they entered it aren't the sort of people who make it up. It wasn't like Cryboy just like making it up. It was people who are generally relatively trustworthy. But I do think they just made it up. There's been no information since then. It's been a few days now. So, near Bodanivka, Ukraine has been kind of steadily being pushed back or withdrawing. I'm not really sure which. But they've been slowly losing ground, and the same near Kromova, where they've been kicked out of this forest basically, and there are a few videos of Russians going through the forest and taking a bunch of prisoners. I don't know if Russia actually controls this forest. I know some maps have it that way, that the Russians control it. I'm not entirely sure they do. They might, like, I don't know. But this whole area is kind of Ukraine pushed as far as they could, and it seemed that their goal was to either capture Yehidna or Berhivka, and then it kind of fell apart, and now it seems that they've just kind of been slowly withdrawing to a defensive line. I'm not entirely sure where that defensive line is. I imagine it would be somewhere like here-ish, but I don't know. I just get the impression they're withdrawing to that defensive line very slowly, and there's probably going to be a point where they will refuse to withdraw any further, because I don't really get the sense that they're being pushed back. It's more that they kind of hold a position while getting shelled and whatever, and eventually they just decide that position isn't worth it anymore. That's kind of the impression I get. So it's not so much being pushed back as much as just having different priorities. Anyways, so getting to Klashivka and Andriivka. Andriivka has been under attack. Now, I don't think they're actually attacking Andriivka. We've had no footage from here either, have we? There's been like...
No, all we get is from the rail lines.
Yeah, this and they're always like super zoomed in, like all the way, and they're always like right here too. But we don't get any video from Andriivka or Klashivka.
Did you talk about the towing action on Tuesday already? I forgot when it happened.
We never talked about that.
Oh yeah, go ahead. You should talk about that because that is weird.
I don't really know the full story. I assume that I guess I should tell a story. Okay, so in Klashivka, the other day there was this video of Russia blowing up some tanks with what were they, like bombs from a drone? I can't remember, or was it artillery?
The first video was the war history colonel or whatever his name is, video of the artillery landing on the middle tank.
Yeah, and I think I don't think it was him, but someone said that was in Kurdyumivka, and it definitely wasn't. Um, the video really bothered me because it seemed so weird. It seems so weird, and then like I just kept watching it over and over again, and I realized like that's a T90M. What is a T90M doing here? And I showed the video to a bunch of people, and everybody was like, "That's not a T90M. You're making it up." I'm like, "No, it is." And so I like made a Twitter thread about it being a T90M, and I did an overlay of a T90M on top of that tank, and for some reason, just by like random luck, one of the top search results on Google for this T90M was a T90M that had its turret in like the exact identical like traverse, like the exact angle. So it matched up perfectly, and that was very convenient. But so I did like an overlay of those tanks, and I was like, see, it is a T90M. But and then like a few hours later, like you started looking into it because I think you were asleep at that point, but like a few hours later, you started looking into it, and you were looking for known T90Ms, right?
Well, I checked the location. I figured that can't be it. And I was thinking about known locations where, at least roughly in the area, where Russia attacked with T90Ms. Because my own expectation was that this must be a Russian tank, and then it might be a Russian counterattack, which maybe ended up with them abandoning it or accidentally shilling it.
Now, basically, right before Russians gave up on Klashivka, back when they still thought that they could defend it for some reason, but it was like after Ukraine took the town, like all of the town, but before Russia gave up, they did this attack with I think it was a one T90M and like two T80 BVMs, and they pushed all the way across this field, like all the way across the field, and entered the town like around here. And I remember that very vividly because of how just pointlessly stupid it was. I think Defmon made a Twitter thread about this. But I wonder because the T90M entered the town like right here, and the T90M was the image that we're talking about was like over here. I wonder if that T90M kind of pushed up, attacked, and then tried to pull back and was abandoned like out here somewhere, and then Ukraine tried to tow it back. Because I don't think it was that far. I think it was only like right here. There were other T90Ms I think were like over here, but those seem weird. the tow up to there. I think you just tow them this way. But so I just wonder if that T90M was that final hurrah that they tried.
There was one T90M which was basically on the cliff somewhere towards the rail station. There's some sort of cliff. But I'm not entirely sure if that T90 fell down, I think it did. I think I remember seeing a video of it going down the cliff. So to get that one up from down there, it would be really hard. So I also can explain where it comes from, if it's not that one at least.
Anyways, but the long story short is that the T90M was towed by a tank. I'm not sure what kind of tank it was still. I think people are saying it was like a T-72 SE or something like that. Is that what they were saying? But anyways, they towed it, and it ended up around here. And I think there was the Polish tank. What's it called? The
PT-91.
Yeah. So it was the Polish guy and the other T-72 of a weird variant that I can't remember. It was all like, these are like three of the rarest tanks in Ukraine, and they're all in the same spot for some reason.
Yeah.
And anyways, so they were all kind of taken out like right here in Klashivka. So that was a thing. I it was a very weird story that it all came together. It took a lot of people to piece it all together, and as it was pieced together, like more footage came out. And by far, the weirdest part of this whole story, and I still have no explanation for this. By far, the weirdest part was that there's the video that came out like yesterday, I think, of an infantryman standing next to those three destroyed tanks, and it showed like exactly what the tanks were. You know, it was a T90M, and anyway, so it was all those tanks together, and then he like turns to the right, and there's like a destroyed M777. That's the weirdest. What is an M777 doing there? That's the weirdest part. Uh, I just don't get it. Like, I can understand like tanks towing each other, but why is an M777 there? And then like the other thing was like maybe the M777 was destroyed like a really long time ago, but like why would the Russians just keep an M777 in the middle of the town for like the whole year? Isn't that weird? Like, why wouldn't they like remove it and like I don't know, like make a trophy like or something? Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. Why is there an M777?
Well, CJ isn't here, so I can just speculate and say stupid things. So I'm just gonna say it was used in direct fire mode.
Just direct fire mode.
Yeah, direct fire mode against tanks. What do you think? How many seconds before CJ joins the stream?
Oh, let me. I'm gonna try to find that video of the M777 because it's in my my chat log somewhere. So just amuse the people for a moment.
Yeah, but what I thought was really curious that once we had it all figured out, what the tank was and what happened, Sudoplatov released their video of the FPV drone hitting the tank, which basically explains the entire thing, and everyone involved could have saved their time. That was kind of annoying because if they had released it earlier, it would have been clear what happened.
Yeah. So this is the video. I need to turn the sound off. I know you can't hear the sound, but I can, and it hurts. This is the video. It's gonna have an M777 in it. I promise. So there it is. Like, I swear to God, this is the M777. Like, am I wrong? I showed it to CJ, and he said it was an M777. Is he wrong too? Are we all wrong? What is that?
Maybe it's a decoy.
A decoy? Who are you gonna decoy with? Like, those are the three tanks, by the way. So those are the three tanks, and this over here is an M777. Who are you decoying with an M777 in Klashivka?
Well, it worked. I'm just gonna say it worked. I don't know what worked. It's all I can say.
Just look, it's right there. Is that a second M777? I'm so confused.
By the way, judging by the direction of the barrel, it's even shooting at liberated land. Because the tanks were going towards the east, which means that barrel is aiming north. Towards the tanks were going towards the west. So yeah, that barrel is aiming north or northwest. I don't know if that helps you.
Doesn't help at all. The M777 is by far the weirdest part of the whole story. It's just like a random M777. Anyways, so near Klashivka, we keep hearing that Ukraine has crossed, and we have video of them having crossed the rail and the swampy river thing. So that we have video of them operating in this tree line. I don't know if they control the tree line or if if they were like attacking the tree line or just passing through it. I don't know. So I marked that tree line as a gray zone. And thank you, Luis. I appreciate it, Luis. Your ongoing support. He's like one of our biggest fans, and I appreciate it. But anyways, so we do know that they've crossed the rail. We don't know exactly how far they've gotten. There have been no satellite images, which is very frustrating, because I am sure the satellite imagery right now would be fascinating to look at, but it is pouring rain every single day. It's pouring, so we're not getting an image anytime soon. And this weekend is supposed to snow, so that's great. Anyways, when they say that Andriivka is under attack, I am assuming it's this tree line. That I'm assuming that both Russia and Ukraine is kind of fighting over this tree line, assuming the trees even exist anymore. So it also could have advanced to maybe this tree line at this point. We just don't know. There's no video. There's no satellite. There's no real information other than this constant rumor of advance. And thank you, Kelly. Thank you.
I think it's worthy to note that, all the video we've seen, it's typically small squads operating across the rail line. So we have no evidence that there's any sort of significant amount of soldiers on that side of Andriivka.
Yeah. So and it makes sense. You kind of have to operate small squads to get across, because I mean, you might think of rivers in terms of like the Dnipro being a giant river, but this is a river crossing. It's like literally a river crossing in that there's a river right there, and they're crossing it. So, and like you have to follow the same sort of process of crossing this water just as you would any other water. So, you have to get across. You have to build a bridgehead. You have to expand out and control enough area around the water feature that you can have your engineering people build something that you can cross heavier equipment with. So this is all your typical river crossing stuff. It's going slowly. Ukraine has like literally no motivation to move quickly. They don't have the resources to move quickly, and they don't have the necessity to move quickly. They're just being methodical. They're slowly. Their goal is to slowly grow this area of control around this like river. Maybe river's the wrong word, but like stream, I guess, whatever. They're building their area of control, and once it's large enough, they're going to cross it with heavier equipment, and then they're going to expand out from there. And this is just a process. So, and thank you, Bobby, for the Topo Fund. Yeah. Speaking of the topography thing, is Merton here still? Merton should come talk about that, because I feel Martin's the one you need to talk to. Where is he? Tell him to come here. I'm sure the people would like to hear about that. Anyways, there's also attacks south towards Zelenopilia. Again, we have almost no information from this area. We get occasional drone attacks. I heard yesterday that Ukraine had a pretty successful attack towards Zelenopilia, and they took ground. But that's pretty much an unsubstantiated rumor. We have no video or whatever evidence to prove it. Although I do very much trust the source, but there's no evidence to back it. So this whole area, and I think part of the reason we don't get much video here is part of it, and not all of it, but part of it is that the Ukrainian troops here at the moment are very professional. They're very, very professional troops, and they don't typically use social media. They just kind of do their job. And there are some brigades that are very internet savvy, and these brigades I don't think are internet savvy at all. They're just doing their thing.
But oh boy, if they release a video, it's definitely one you can't show.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah, but I mean, if they release some things, like if they release footage of an attack or something like that, typically it's some, I don't know, 5 to 10 minute long video, and it's happened like a month ago.
yeah, there was a video today. This video was like so ridiculous. Did you watch this?
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah.
Like they drive up on a 4-wheeler and they just drive up on a 4-wheeler, make a bunch of rude hand gestures, pull out an RPG, and just start like randomly lobbing RPGs into a town, and then they drive away and it's over. So that's the video. That's where that's that.
Do you want to repeat your sentence about professionalism?
Well, this is a different brigade. This is a totally different brigade.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the people attacking at least this angle of Kurdyivka. So the people attacking the north of Kurdyivka is like one brigade, and the people over here are a different brigade, and they are not the same. The people in the north are some of the most professional soldiers in Ukraine, and these guys drive around on 4-wheelers shooting RPGs.
Who's attacking in the north? Is it 28th?
Partially, yeah, some of them.
Because I think that they were mostly holding their grounds, right, for the past months until third assault and so on continued and advanced. So they should still have plenty of steam, to call it.
Yeah. Yeah, these are really good troops. Anyways, so that there's another map update yesterday that people found upsetting, like viscerally upsetting for some reason. It's not a big deal. Basically, Ukraine shot this Russian position with some mortars. And I had this was a relic of a long time ago. This mapping, and I never changed it because there's no new information. This is actually from like a long time ago, I'm pretty sure. Give me my tooltips. I clicked the wrong button. Yeah, it's from June. So this was a relic from June that is no longer relevant because it's October. And so yeah, Russia took back some grounds. They probably took it back a very long time ago. Like they may have taken it back in June. Let's be honest. Like I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, this place got mortared yesterday, or the video came out yesterday. It's not a big deal, and people were viscerally upset about that. I'm sorry if I upset you. It was just some mortars. It's not a big deal. Anyways, around New York, there's bombing, for aerial bombing every once in a while. Same with Touretsk. Other than that, not so much going on. There have been some steady changes in the Ukrainian line around Oleksandripol and Novokalivnoy. I give up. Anyways, we've been steadily changing their front line as videos have come out, and there's a lot of gray area, and even some area that I thought was controlled by Russians that have been in Ukrainian control for a long time, and the map was basically just wrong. So I remember there was a time when Russia did a large attack out of Novoselivska, and they were moving down this road and launching assaults all around here, and they also tried moving up, but that was a very long time ago. And now they shoot drones at Ukrainian trenches in that same spot. So what I imagine happened is that Russia attacked and Ukraine fell back, and then Russia eventually gave up and Ukraine took the positions back. I imagine that's what happened, but it happened months ago. But we've been getting more and more video, just updating these lines. So yeah, there's just changes like that, and that's been interesting. We've also seen that some of these positions that like over here and over here that were Ukrainian controlled as of like 5 or 6 days ago, but now we don't know if they're Ukrainian controlled anymore because Russia's doing the big offensive. And yeah, so they're basically a lot of this gray area that I didn't know what was going on. It turns out that gray area was mostly actually controlled by Ukraine. So that's interesting. But on the flip side, some of this gray area has since been lost to this Russian attack. Speaking of which, Russia has taken a lot of ground west of Krasnohorivka, and Ukraine has done some counterattacks to push Russia out of some of these more northwestern positions. But generally speaking, Russia controls everything east of this railroad, basically. I don't know.
Do you want to tell how you called this update?
Do you mean
Probably not. Let's just say there's one very pessimistic person in Discord. No, but actually he watched a lot of footage from that area. So he caused this update.
Yes, this was caused. This entire Russian advance was caused by one person in Discord, but seriously, he probably knows more about what's going on here than most people. Like just honestly, he knows way more than I do. Basically, the only things I know are the things that he like the tiny fragment of things that he's allowed me to see, because he keeps the rest to himself because he's like a hoarder. But yeah, there've just been. I think I talked about this last time. These Russian attacks, they've been taking like so many casualties in these attacks that you describe it. I don't want to. You describe it. I want people to hear it from not me, because I feel like they don't believe me. So you say it. What have you seen? What do you see in those videos?
Well, okay. Wait. How do I say this to make it comply with YouTube rules? Well, Russians die. Is that summing it up?
Yeah. So what do you see in the, like, what are they doing? Because it seems like we have seen a lot of video that's not public. I'm not trying to brag. It's just a fact. We've seen a lot of video that's not public. It'll probably all be public at one point. It's not public yet. So what have you seen in that footage?
So one of the things which you can observe is that the Russians rush their MTLBs, BTRs, whatever, stacked with personnel on top and inside, somewhere to the front line, and whoever makes it alive. And yeah, that ratio of people who make it alive is rather small. Basically jumps out or jumps off the BTR and MTLBs and starts to dig in immediately. So basically I don't know if they go to the front with a gun or with a shovel.
Yeah. So we a bunch of guys, they all drive up together in like groups of 3 vehicles usually. Maybe some of the vehicles uh, get destroyed. Sometimes they all survive. The guys get to the front. They dismount. They jump into cover and begin to dig in. The vehicles go back, get more people, and then they do it again, over and over and over again. In a very large portion of these, I don't like maybe all of them. They lose at least one vehicle. Like I don't know if I've seen a video where they didn't lose one, at least one. I've seen some where they lose 2 out of 3. I don't think I've seen them lose all of them either. They seem to lose
Yeah.
either 1 of 3 or 2 of 3 in like every single attack.
Yeah, what I think is interesting is that, you know, even if they lose the vehicle, those people will still jump off and jump out, because some survivors always exist and they still continue with digging in immediately.
Yeah,
It's not like this would throw them off and they would run back or be disoriented or something like that. No, they immediately go into cover and start digging.
yeah. It is very notable because I don't know how many people they have in each vehicle. I assume it's about 20. I assume that they're moving about 60 guys at a time, 20 on each. But of those 20, we have seen vehicles completely explode, like totally destroyed, and like 10 guys jump out and go dig a trench. It's crazy.
Yeah, but one thing to note is that the general staff reports on Russian soldier eliminations, they have gone down significantly. So most of the video footage we've seen, or also most of the video footage which is not public, is dated before, I think, October 24th. And recently, the general staff basically went back to the baseline of Russian eliminations, which is around 500. I think today they reported something around 550. So I would very much assume that at this point, at least, probably there's some sort of operational pause or at least a slowdown in that.
The weather is awful. The weather is so bad. Like it's just pouring rain, and it's cold too. It's not like warm rain. It's like cold pouring rain. It's not nice weather. In fact, you know what? I'm going to show this video, not the part where they shoot rockets, but I do think that this video is from the past like day or two, and this will just show you the weather. This is the weather. Okay, it just is pouring rain, and I'm gonna stop there. So, but you see how muddy it is and how wet and I just imagine it's also very, very cold. So this is the weather we're talking about, and I'm gonna stop there. But yeah. But yeah, basically what we see is that they drive out to here. They've kind of dug in on kind of this section here. They've kind of made their defenses, and yeah, they appear to have done it all along this line. They may have taken this whole tree line here. I'm gonna turn off the yellow. I'll turn off everything. I'll turn it all off. Boom. Okay, so they may have taken this this tree line here. They may have taken actually the other tree line too. I'm not entirely positive. But basically, this whole section here has been dug in. And from what we've seen, they've attempted to do the same sort of thing up here, but I don't know how successful that's been. Like we've seen some footage of them kind of like moving into this tree line. I don't know if they ever built a foothold there. We've also seen, oddly enough, some Ukrainian stuff get destroyed around here, which is weird. Because I don't think Ukraine is there anymore, but that's kind of the whole thing here, is that they pushed up, they took massive casualties in the initial thrust, but they got just enough guys into position that they could begin digging in. Once they started digging in, they just bum rushed all these guys forward in their vehicles, and they dug in too. And now there's just a huge number of guys dug in right here, and that's pretty much what happened. Last time, I like on Tuesday, I feel like I said basically the same thing we just said. Then, as a but everybody was saying like I was dooming or whatever. It's just a fact. Like this is what happened. Not all the videos are public. They will be. They're being held not for like OPSEC or whatever. They're being held for other reasons. So they're all going to come out. You're going to see it all. Don't worry about it. Maybe not all of it because there's a lot, but you'll see enough.
Maybe to mention, some of it has already been released in the last, I think, 2 days, and it was released by Tonya Levchuk, who's currently also still fundraising. So you can always check her out. I think her handle is Tonya Levchuk, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna post the link in the chat.
Okay. I don't know if you can, but you can try. Here, I'll put it in the description.
I could. I think it's there.
Here, I'll put it in the description. Yeah, I can't see your link. I think only you can see it. But anyways, I put it in the description so they can see it there. Now for the southern portion of Avdiivka, Russia is pushing towards this sand quarry. I don't think they've had much success there. At least I haven't seen any success in that quarry. They've also been pushing west towards Pervomaisky, and I haven't, well, I haven't seen success here, but I've heard a lot of rumors that they have had success there. And I genuinely believe that they have had success in this kind of western part of to the west towards Pervomaisky.
Yeah, but I think it comes down to the definition of success again, because if they, occupied some of the gray zone, it might be a success for them, but would we really consider that a success?
Yeah, I've heard that they control everything to about here-ish, in Pervomaisky. That they've taken this whole this whole section here was a total gray zone. There's like nothing left. There's a pile of like destroyed vehicles and all the houses. Everything's destroyed. But I've heard that they have pushed up to around here, and that they control that, and that they're planning on attacking the north of Pervomaisky. Of note, it's generally considered a true statement that the Ukrainian defensive line runs basically, or their main defensive line runs basically along the back edge of this pond. So like this line is like their main line. It's generally considered a true statement. I don't know if it actually is a true statement, but that's why I say it's generally considered true. But it might not actually be true. And it is of note that Ukraine does control like pretty much all of Pervomaisky, all the way down to here. I will have you know that this highway right here is what separates Pervomaisky from Pisky. So these buildings, Pisky. These buildings, Pervomaisky. Okay, so Ukraine controls practically the entire town, except for these few houses. Also, these houses don't exist anymore. They were destroyed a long time ago. So yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about Avdiivka. There hasn't been any significant change over the past 2 days. It's just kind of more of the same.
Well, one thing I can add is that Nalcio from War Spotting, and he also supported Oryx, has just, I think 20 minutes ago, put out an update on the Russian Avdiivka losses, and they've so far lost a total of 157 vehicles, at least tracked by War Spotting, out of which 43 tanks and 98 AFVs, so BMPs and so on.
So is that counting from like October 1st or what?
No, I think it should be counting from October 10th when the
10th.
offensive started. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a controversial statement. 'Cause I feel like if you were to ask Russia or Ukraine when did the offensive start, they'll tell you October 1st. But if you ask the interwebs and social media, they'll tell you the 10th. So it's like a controversial thing. But okay.
Actually, he wrote in his tweet that he pushed the date from October 10th to October 9th.
Okay.
So not sure how much of a difference that made, but yeah. Anyway, that's the current status there, 157. So that's
that's 157 tanks and IFVs.
No, that's 157 in total, but mostly tanks and IFVs.
Okay.
It's 131 tanks and IFVs. The rest is MLRS, some artillery we've seen, some engineering equipment, like that what was it, Bram or something, which which decided to go for a swim.
Yeah. Because we have 192, but that's counting the whole everything.
Yeah. I think one thing to note is also that the Russians are very aware of their losses, because if you go through Russian Telegram lately, it is, it's mostly them trying to talk about Robotne and how much Ukraine lost in Robotne. Like you see maps posted everywhere about Ukraine. How much did they lose? Something like 120 vehicles or something.
I think their final number was 157.
Okay, 157. So that would equal what Russia lost in 10 days already, or in what is it now? 18 days.
Yeah. I can actually find that article or that post. I remember who posted it. I think it was
originally it's from Lost Armor.
Yeah,
but it's retweeted by not retweeted, but forwarded from by any Russian Telegram every day.
Yeah, like literally every day. Okay, I follow that account, and I'm scrolling through looking for their name at this point. Okay, I found it.
So yeah, they're trying to shift the focus quite evidently. Might mean that they're not very happy with their success.
Yeah, this is their post. So they say over 150. I believe the number was 157. This is the best part, is they say, during 4.5 months of the counteroffensive, Ukraine lost over 150 vehicles. They don't say over the course of 1 week we lost 150.
Yeah, and I think what's also noteworthy is that Lost Armor obviously is very much in the Russian segment of the information space. Let's say, and I'm pretty sure that at least some of those vehicles are not really a Ukrainian, because in case you would find an MTLB which you can't affiliate to either party, they would definitely call it Ukrainian in that instance. I also don't remember seeing a PT-91 in Robotna, but maybe I'm wrong.
I don't remember seeing that either.
Yeah, so most likely, those numbers are probably a bit, made pretty for Russia. Nevertheless, I mean, Ukraine had significant losses there.
Ukraine lost a ton of vehicles. Like no one is hiding that fact. Like it's obvious to everybody that Ukraine lost a lot of vehicles and a lot of men. And I don't really see how Ukraine losing a bunch of things makes up for Russia losing just as much things in a week. Like, I don't like if Ukraine lost 150 vehicles in a week, like like it would be horrible. It would be really, really ridiculously awful.
Yeah, and
And
imagine the public backlash.
yeah, and Russia losing 150 things in a week is also horrible for them. So
Yeah,
there's no sugarcoating it. It's just you
yeah,
you did it
but
bad.
there's zero accountability. You know, if that happened to Ukraine, you can be sure that there, like every Ukrainian on Twitter and so on will rant, will complain, will try to analyze the mistakes and so on. But from the Russians, you don't hear anything.
As I have seen some criticisms. Uh, I did talk about those criticisms last week. I didn't state them as Russian stating it. I just said what the Russians said, and but basically what they were saying was that it's the losses are unacceptable. Like the Russian losses were unacceptable, but it's okay because they don't need to suffer that level of losses for very long to achieve their victory. That was basically more or less what they're saying. Is that like maybe taking unacceptable losses for a great victory is actually fine. Like that was kind of the argument that I've seen. So like for example, if so like Russia kind of went from they went from there to there, so it's like 2 kilometers or something. So if they moved up like 2 kilometers, if they move up like another two, like if they move up like here, it would basically more or less be game over for Avdiivka. So if you kind of look at it that way, like if you're halfway, like if you took all those losses to get halfway, and then would you be willing to take those losses again to go the rest of the way and win? Like I think that's how they're looking at it.
And they're gonna take more.
I mean, I don't like, but that's just kind of that's the perspective I see in them when they talk about it.
So what's your medium term perspective on the entire situation
Of Avdiivka.
Yeah,
I'm very worried. I'm not worried about the South. I think the South is it's ridiculously difficult to attack here. Because it's so wide open. There's nowhere to hide. Part of what made the North much easier to assault was that there's a lot of steep hills. So this was I showed this road in one of the streams in the past where these are all like really steep hills that they had to go up, and those steep hills covered them as they were moving. And once you get to around here, it opens up, but then it opens up to this tree line. So relatively speaking, this area was easier to attack. They were kind of sitting ducks as they were moving up, and they took a lot of losses moving along this road. But the road was relatively protected, especially because this giant hill kind of offered. It's kind of like a giant wall that you can't shoot through. So all of this was relatively protected, so they could move up a little bit easier. Whereas on the other side of this rail, it opens up and it's pretty flat. All of this is basically flat. And I think they're going to have a lot of trouble moving through it. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be really hard to push them out of what they've already taken. And this is going to be kind of an ongoing threat for a very long time. Like the best case scenario is an ongoing threat for a very long time. There is the enormous threat, and of them entering the coke plant. And I imagine this is the next step for Russia is that I bet they're going to dump everything they have into entering this coke plant and trying to get a foothold literally anywhere here. And once they get that foothold, it's going to be extraordinarily difficult to push them back out. I think if they get a foothold in the coke plant, I think Avdiivka will eventually fall. I don't know how long it'll take. Like it could take months, but I think it would eventually fall. I think it's very important that Ukraine, this hill, the heap, the waste heap. I think it is possible that Ukraine could take it back. I don't think it's fully in Russian control, and I do think it's very important that Ukraine push Russia out of kind of this triangle here. This triangle being there's like this tree line, this road, and that tree line, like this triangle. I think it's very important that Ukraine reestablishes that triangle in the heap to protect the coke plant, to kind of push the front line back out. If they can't do that, I'm pretty worried.
No, we've learned that 47th Brigade is there. Would you consider any prospect where any sort of foothold at the coke plant is followed by as an example 47th pushing towards Krasnoyarivka from the north or towards Novobakhmutivka?
It's easier said than done. This is all flat. This is all nothing flatness. These fields are all minefields. It's easier said than done. Like Novobakhmutivka is very hilly, and it's surrounded by extremely dense minefields to the north. This whole area here is full of minefields. Once you get to around here, I think the minefields end. It's like it's kind of like this field and this field is a minefield, like this whole area, and then everything here is a minefield. It's like this whole gray area is just a giant minefield. And over here, this is kind of where Russia is assaulting. I don't think you can really go there. So it's kind of like Russia's assaulting in the one place that isn't a minefield, and everywhere else is a minefield. So it's easier said than done to do that. Novobakhmutivka is harder than you think to capture, due to the terrain being pretty hilly and uneven. And I'm just there's this whole northern part. There's a reason neither side has really been able to move here, and it's not because the terrain is easy for anybody.
Yeah, but that's the cards change. That's what I'm thinking. 47th Brigade wasn't there before. They're experienced with minefields now. They have some bad experience, some better experience.
It's just like,
at-
yeah, you breached Rabatina, you could breach Novobakhmutivka. Is that what
Yeah.
you're saying? It's like you're the guys with the most mine experience. Go charge that minefield.
Kind of, it's just I'm just trying to think myself what would you do, if this was a chess game. And the coke plant, once they're in, it's super hard to push them out, which means the only other way to save Avdiivka in that moment is to cut their supplies, and that means that you need to flank them. And the other angles actually at Kamyanka, which I was surprised to see no footage from there at all.
Yeah, there's been very little here. The only footage we had of Vasela was them driving through it to go to Krasnoyarivka. That's the only footage we had for Vasela, because this was like their main assault was like they kind of like drove up this highway, and then they drove down here, they drove through Vasily, and then they kept driving, and then they went over here. So that was one of their main assault paths, and the other assault path was up that road. So yeah, I ideally you wouldn't have let them get to this tree line. Getting to this tree line is actually really bad for Ukraine. People have been trying to minimize it, but it's really bad.
Yeah, I think one of the main reasons from all the footage we've seen so far is there simply aren't enough barrels, and there aren't enough, as an example, Dipicum shells landing at the same time. It's just not enough to have one Dipicum land, on a column of Russian vehicles. It's not enough. You need to have 3 or 4 at least landing there simultaneously to have a decent effect on that column.
Yeah, there's we've seen a lot of videos of a group of vehicles driving, like 3 vehicles, and they get hit perfectly with cluster munitions. But a cluster munition, it drops what, like 24 sub munitions, which is it's a lot. But to take out a vehicle, you still need a direct hit. So if you shoot one, you have like a 1 in 24 chance of hitting, maybe, like if each one is even, whereas if you shoot like 5, you have a much better chance of hitting a vehicle. So, or if you shoot 10, and there's a chart. I don't have the chart memorized of if you have a certain number of vehicles, you're supposed to fire a certain number of munitions. If I remember right, it was like 8 to 10 shells per vehicle. I'm pretty sure. So like if there's 3 vehicles there, you're supposed to shoot like 25 shells, and Ukraine is shooting 1. So
yeah, they need more. Honestly, a lot of what we see wouldn't have happened if they had more.
yeah, if they had like an extra few thousand shells a day, like 3, 4, 5,000 more per day, I don't think Russia would have gotten this foothold. I don't think like if you just took every fire mission they had and just like triple it, like I think that would have been enough. Because their shells were hitting and doing damage. It's just they didn't have enough hitting. Anyways, I'm not worried about the south at all. It's just this northern part that's very, very worrying. And I'm not really sure what's going to happen after if Avdiivka falls. I'm not really sure what's going to happen, because I think any defensive line you build is going to require more troops than Avdiivka needed to defend it. And I think you're going to take more casualties than you would have taken in Avdiivka. So I think any line you build, even if it works, like even if you stop the Russian attack and contain them, I think you're going to take more casualties over time. And that's not good. And it's going to take more men to defend. Even though the line will end up being shorter, because right now it's like you get this big bulge, you have to defend this whole bulge. The line will be shorter, but it won't be as good of a line. So yeah, so yeah, I don't really have any information from down here. There was one video from Nova Nikolaevka, which more or less reaffirmed our map. That was cool. Basically, the Russians, they started over here. They drove more or less along this arrow. They drove up here. They kind of were driving through this minefield, blowing up a whole bunch of mines. Probably pretty fun for the driver, It's a good way to get to shake the cobwebs out of your head. But they eventually turned around and drove on back home. The tank that was blowing up all the mines Eventually, itself exploded. It flew
Oh,
too close to the sun.
did you notice what's burning there? You can't even open that screenshot.
What?
I think I think that's the driver jumping out.
They don't know that. Just a little red dot. Yeah, and then they lost an MTLB, and this was that the scorch mark that we've been talking about. We didn't know what it was. There it is. I assume maybe whatever that is. I don't know. Something exploded here. Something exploded. It doesn't exist anymore, and it left a giant scorch.
Yeah, and you can see it from satellite, which is,
Yeah.
I mean, you probably showed it on satellite before.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I showed.
Yeah. And it's interesting that I think for weeks you had been talking about the tracks in the field visible on satellite, and there was absolutely no footage. And it's really interesting that now, piece by piece, you can build the puzzle.
Yeah. So we see it also it goes to show how late all this video comes out, because like you could see it on satellite and you just wonder what it is for like a month or two, and then the video comes out and they make it sound like it came out like the attack was today, obviously. So yeah, that's it more or less confirmed our map. There was this little change that I made, but not a big change. So this whole
Yeah.
area is a gray area for sure.
One thing which might be noteworthy is that the MTLB, it basically exploded either right at the Russian line or right ahead of it. So that might very well have been a Russian mine that, caused the damage to the MTLB. It might be that he lost the tank ahead of it,
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, that's kind of like all the news we have from this area. There was shelling in Mariinka that I mapped every individual shell because I just found it interesting where it's getting shelled. So this is all Ukrainian position for sure. But anyways, Vuhledar, we don't have too much information. This tower here got struck by an ATGM. There was like a surveillance camera in there that they destroyed with an ATGM.
I did see that, and it appeared to me that it must have been before that Sudoblatov, massacre.
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, I think last week or something, Andrew basically he added a video to the spreadsheet about which was hard to locate because it was only towers.
I hate towers. I never locate towers. I hate them.
Yeah. So I looked at it and I realized, okay, that's pretty much only one tower, and they hit it with, I don't know, like 10 drones or something like that from every angle at every spot on top, until the roof almost collapsed already, just from FPV drones. So that also tells you something about the punch that they can actually pack.
Yeah, that I broke that video apart into each scene in the video. So there were like 10 of them, like 10 scenes, and each one is like 2 or 3 seconds long or something. And in the location column, I just said these are all on a tower. That's all I said. Yeah. And then Gick comes back to me later. They're like, "You didn't tell me they're all on the same tower." I was like, "I don't know." Anyways, yeah, there's a whole bunch of airstrikes in Eurozhina. They've been just bombing Eurozhina constantly, and it's like more or less all the news we got. There's been airstrikes and MRLs in Bilohirya. Same with Malotokmachka. Somehow Ukraine never attacked Novopokrovka. There's Ukraine did a minor assault near to the east of Novoprokopivka. It didn't go well. They lost a vehicle probably, and they didn't really capture anything. And this is some of the Russian shelling from that assault. Ukraine is doing some German attacks there. Not too interesting.
Actually, you should go to yesterday as well, because there was also the video of the exactly to the left of your arrow right now. Exactly. So here we had a video of a Ukrainian column approaching Novoprokopivka, which is kind of interesting, because I did think that it's very stationary, and assault attempts have more or less ceased for the moment until they are closer to Kopani and Nestoryanka. So that column, it surprised me, and I can't date it. I don't know if that's really recent or if it's just the Russians, pulling out videos which they still had. At the same time, to the west of Robotny with the Leopards, which were destroyed, which is also interesting, because we know 47th is supposedly in Avdiivka right now. At least we saw that Bradley's in Avdiivka, and we even we can be sure that at least some of the 47th are in Avdiivka. The Leopards now, the 2A4s, I don't know who they belong to. Or if they belong to the 47th, either they're still both in Robotny and in Avdiivka, or maybe those videos are that old. So that's what I haven't yet figured out.
And they release more Leopards today, right? 2 more. They're up to like 5. It's weird.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
I know that they showed one Leopard from at least 4 or 5 different angles.
I think there are 2 more Leopards released today.
Okay, so you will have Forbes quote you on that now.
Oh. Yeah, but yeah. Yeah, and Russia had their little assault here that had a whole bunch of vehicles destroyed. There was a T-72, a BTR, some shelling. I think they also lost an MTLB, I think. So yeah, that's all. There are things going. Well, like you said, we don't actually know if they're currently happening or if these are old, or it's hard to tell. It's even harder to tell because there's no satellite. Because like, if there was a satellite that we could look at and see if there's like fresh vehicle tracks or fresh fires or whatever, we could maybe date these videos, but we just don't have that. It's frustrating.
One thing we note, or I note, is that I think for 503rd or something like that, the Russian unit, they keep shelling the very same spots outside of Nestoryanka for at least 2 months. Like whenever you see a video of them, it's always on that tree line. It's so annoying. It's not even a pleasure anymore to locate that.
Yeah, they even filmed a video of I called it Litterganda. They dropped some pamphlets from a drone, which was weird. It's just weird.
Oh yeah, but at least we know where Ukraine is there.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 months of shelling made you finally update that map.
Yeah. So I finally I was literally just I was only updating like the literal spot where the shells would land. So like there was like a shell here, so I just drew like this one tree line, and then like we got some Litterganda over there, and then we got some shelling over here. It took me a full day to just like, okay, fine. So that's what happened. It's the same sort of thing happened over in Mikilska, where I like drew this as slowly as I possibly could, like literally just as the shells came in. So it's like, oh, there's an already shell there. There's some already there. It's like the same thing. But like more than like Ukraine might just control all of this. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for more shelling. Yeah. So that anyway, that's the news update for Nasturianka. Is I just said fine, whatever. He's gonna draw the whole tree line is theirs finally. They've probably controlled it for like 2 or 3 months or something. They might even control further south because some of these shells they weren't just landing like in the tree line, like they're landing like short. It's possible that Ukraine controls like all the way to there. Like I just don't know. And one last area to talk about, I guess, is the river. What is there to talk about in the river? There's some drone attacks.
I can tell you that Magyar posted a new video.
Oh God.
Yeah.
How long is it?
Already.
Is it like 18 minutes long?
It's 12 minutes long. It's I think 8 minutes of content and 4 minutes of him talking.
Oh yeah.
But we already broke it down over at DevMon's Discord. We already nailed down, I think all but 2 locations. And it is interesting to see. It's again south of Pišane. If you go back, I think 2 days or something like that, you see the last locations that Magyar was at. Oh no, one more maybe. Huh, is it that long ago? Try one more. Ah yeah, there it. No, it's not that one.
What's going on here?
It should be around Pišane. We located something there. Excuse me, a couple of days ago. Okay, maybe maybe it's that old actually. No, it didn't. I took a picture earlier, so it must be on the map. Maybe I'm seeing things. Anyway, so yeah, it's around the area of Pišane to the south of it. Or maybe I'm just talking about the wrong location. Wait, I have it still. Here? I have it open. Let me.
I'm so confused right now.
Yeah, you shouldn't be. It's already on the spreadsheet, so.
Okay.
But let me. Yeah, it's the area of Pišane. So exactly where we were. What we see is actually not insignificant armored columns of the Russians moving south in that instance. So they definitely still have mechanized presence there. They seem to also be using that mechanized presence. Let's say it like that. I mean, in one instance, one of the BTRs is packed with infantry, gets hit by a drone. You know what's next. But yeah, they get farmed by drones in that area, and I mean, I don't know if you ride around on top of a BTR if you don't go into combat or come from combat or something like that. If you do the non-rotations regularly, or if you use other means, they could if Ukraine wasn't there, what I'm saying is that they would probably be using vans or pickup trucks or something like that, but not BTRs.
Yeah. Riding on top of a BTR is not my idea of fun. Do you remember the BTR video where all the infantry were riding on top and the driver like hit a rock and the BTR flipped upside down?
I do remember that.
That's not for me. I don't want to do that. Doesn't seem fun.
I encourage the Russians to keep doing that. Don't get me wrong, but I don't want to do it myself either.
So yeah, there have been ongoing drone attacks right here in that exact location of Pitstepna, and there have been some stuff not there anyway over here right here some that was a long time ago, so that was in Krinky. But other than that, there's not been super much on the mainland. There's been some stuff on the islands of drone attacks and shellings and occasional airstrikes and around here. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say. Honestly, there have been more things going on the other side. Today, there was an airstrike. Actually, there's more. I haven't even geolocated all of them. I think there was like 5 more airstrikes in Verislav. There've been strikes in Kherson, Um, there have been strikes in Zelenivka. One person died. There's this video of the shelling. I should definitely show this. This is something that should be shown. So this is the damage from the shelling in this town. This town, I've seen absolutely no evidence to suggest that there's a military presence in this town. I mean, maybe there is. I've seen no evidence of it. It seems that they just shell this town for the lulz.
Geolocating airstrikes and so on. I'm pretty convinced that they just shoot in a general direction.
Yeah, and speaking of which, there was one pretty significant missile strike today. I'm not 100% sure I geolocated it right. I didn't geolocate it. I put it based on the name of a building. I may not have put it in the right building, but it's not the point. I might have to go back and change this. But they hit this this fire station near Izium, and they destroyed like 13 vehicles or something like that. The text probably says it. Yeah, 13 pieces of equipment, and they injured 8 people. I don't think that was the right place. I think I was not fully awake when I mapped that. It was like the first thing I mapped this morning, and I like woke up and I was very groggy because I overslept. I slept like way too many hours last night. You know how you feel like awful when you sleep too much? That was me this morning. I felt like I was hungover just from sleeping. But anyways, that is definitely not it. It was in Izium that they did it. I'm gonna need to fix that.
I want to point out that fire engine, it was donated by Germany.
Yeah.
So yeah, dear Germans, go tell your people. I'm gonna tell mine.
Yeah. There's no evidence whatsoever that this was a military target. And there was also the Russians have been kind of almost admitting that that wasn't a military target. They said the name of the target they were aiming at, and then they said they hit the fire station, and they were like practically admitting they hit the fire station by accident. There have been debates over what weapon was used. I saw one official source say that they were Iskanders, and I've seen another official source say that they're S-300s, and they don't agree with each other, obviously. So I don't actually know what weapon that was. Because if those were Iskanders, that was obviously intentional, because they're pretty accurate. If they're S-300s, then who knows? Although, this is the wrong location. but depending on where it is, because they were aiming for a factory, basically. That's what they said. That they claim that they identified Ukraine was using a specific factory as a vehicle, like repair or something like that. That was their claim, and then they shot a fire station, like apparently by accident. But I don't know. So yeah, that was and over here in Mykolaiv, they shot Shaheds at something in this general area. Not sure what they were aiming at, but they shot a bunch of Shaheds there, and I believe one of them was shot down and caused a big fire. But not a super big deal. I don't think anyone was injured. And then right here there was a missile strike in Mykolaivka of this particular district of the Dnipropetrovsk. Anyway, it was that town right there. Got hit by a rocket strike of some sort. They said it was MRL. And if it wasn't MRL, I imagine it's a tornado, because I don't think anything else has that range. Otherwise, I think it would have to be an S-300 or something bigger. I was very surprised because I didn't know where that town was. It might be wrong, actually. It might be the wrong Mykolaievka. I don't think it was, because it took me a long time to find it. Like, I was going through every Mykolaievka, and that was the only Mykolaievka that fit the description that they gave. But I'll go back and look again, because that's kind of a weird spot. Anyways, that's kind of all the information I have. Do you have anything?
Yeah, well, on the note of missile strikes, I guess we could say that the RST was now announced as delivered. So another RST battery or system has been delivered to Ukraine. So let's hope that that helps a bit.
Another thing that is interesting is that I believe Germany is delivering some sort of engineering / armored recovery vehicles. And I wonder if they are engineering vehicles. I believe they're mine clearing vehicles. So maybe they're preparing to clear some mines. Huh?
Oh yeah, probably north of Avdiivka. So, but where did you see that?
It was the German aid guy, Maurice.
Okay, so must have been not part of the official statement today, I guess.
Well, no, it was. It was in the official statement.
Okay. Yeah, I would really wish to hear from CJ about the Rheinmetall plant in Ukraine for the production, also with regards to shell production, since we talked about that. But I think CJ won't jump in here magically now, would he?
Sometimes when you say his name, he just appears, but not always.
Okay, it's one, like there's 1 minute of delay or something like that on YouTube.
He has just appeared more than once.
Yeah, exactly. And normally it's when I say something wrong about artillery. So is there anything wrong I should say now? Is it that towed artillery is redundant in modern war, and that drones are
there's one thing that happened today that made me laugh really hard, was that Germany gave this weapon here. They gave the M26 AT2, right? And people took this to mean just an M26 cluster munition. And people have been posting everywhere that Germany gave cluster munitions.
Well, it's to be fair. So to be fair, it is kind of cluster.
Yeah. To me, it qualifies as cluster, because to me, any munition that has a sub-munition, I consider a cluster munition. That, to me, that is the definition. I don't care what anyone else has to say. If there's a sub-munition, I call it a cluster. I don't care. I don't care what it does. I don't care if it's a mine. You're like, oh no, it's different because it lays mines. Like, okay.
Yeah.
But anyways, this people calling that a cluster munition is genuinely really funny to me, and I know that he doesn't find it funny, but I do. But yeah, this one of these things, one of the I think that is like German code for engineering vehicle. I think that's what it was. I can't remember, but one of these was a.
Those border protection vehicles are those pretty funny looking, I think, French trucks, Renault trucks or something like that, typically. So that shouldn't be them.
I just know that those vehicles are involved somehow. I just know because we had a long conversation about this like a little while ago, or maybe they announced it like 3 days ago. I don't know. I just know that they're giving mine clearing vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, that's the show. I think that's it. That's all we have to say. We'll be back, or I'll be back on Tuesday. And thank you for everyone who came and listened. I hope you found it valuable. And thank you for coming, Gick.
Thank you for having me.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.